Hello everyone, and welcome to another challenge video. Before we dive in though, I really want to say a big thank you for all of the love and support on my full shipment video. It is way beyond what I imagined, so I just want to say a big thank you for the likes, comments, subscriptions, all of that stuff. Really means a lot. But anyway, in this particular challenge, I'm going to focus on completing the community center without crafting and hopefully do it within 1 year. Now, completing the community center in 1 year can be difficult enough, but not being able to craft will really add a new layer of challenge. Let me tell you, you never realize how much you rely on crafting until you, well, can't rely on crafting. But that's a problem for me. You just sit back and enjoy the video. Day 1, I got my free parsnips from the mayor and then cleared some space on the farm to plant the crops. I then collected enough wood to craft a chest. Just kidding. A couple of things about this playthrough, however. I am doing this completely modless, which is going to physically pain me to not have UI info suite and fast animations. I also marked the option for year 1 cabbage seed to hopefully speed things along. And then I also checked the Riverlands farm for the free fish smoker. My big priority is to get enough money to buy a backpack upgrade because inventory management without a chest is awful, as you'll see often. And being able to increase the value of fish by smoking them will be a huge help for profits. I bought the necessary spring seeds for the CC and greeted any villagers I came across to complete the greeting quest for the 100 gold. Of course, any extra funds will be helpful, but I have a few NPCs I need to focus on befriending to help get me some CC items. Sadly, Caroline will not be one of them because tea saplings are useless in a no crafting challenge. After that, I went back to my farm to plant the newly purchased crops and then watered them. Yay for manual watering! Unfortunately, I did not record day 2. I'm sure it's not a bad omen or anything. Just assume I watered my crops and then spent the whole day fishing as much as possible, selling what I could. On day 3, I enjoyed the free rain day. The Riverland farm thankfully gives me an easy access to catfish, and I even got blessed with bubbles. Conveniently, Alex had a request for a catfish, so I picked up an easy 600 gold for dropping that off to him. With some extra money, I popped over to Clint to open some geodes I'd gotten in fishing chests and donated what I could to Gunther. Not only for the 250 gold, but the museum rewards can save me some money buying seeds and help since I won't be able to craft a scarecrow. Back at the farm, I struggled to clear out my inventory. I can't set my tools down, which unfortunately takes up half my inventory, so I'm forced to try to throw items I don't want to sell or trash on the ground and hope I don't pick them back up. You can see it's quite the fun dance. Since it was early, I went up to the mountains to do some more fishing. Even though my backpack filled up quickly, I was able to find a sweet spot where I could dump my fish that wouldn't fit in my inventory without them dropping into the water. This can be really handy as long as you don't exit the game. If you do that, they're gonna despawn. Just ignore the nice dino egg artifact, nothing to see here. I fished for most of the night before heading back home, making a point to smoke my more expensive fish and selling some of the others off. That night, I hit level 4 fishing and made 1300 gold. The next morning, Clint greeted me at my door with blueprints to a furnace. I didn't have the heart to tell him I won't ever use it because I can't craft it. Don't worry, there are other ways of getting the ore we need for the CC bundles, but that's a future focus in this challenge. I, unfortunately, was back to watering my crops and fighting with items trying to jump into my inventory from the ground. I went into town to check garbage cans in hopes of finding helpful items. Well, that's partially true. I was really just biding my time till Pier opened at 9 so I could buy the backpack. With more inventory space that still won't be enough room, I headed up to do more mountain fishing. Like usual, I was on the hunt for level 5 fishing for the increased sell price. Even with the increased backpack space, however, my inventory filled up quickly, so I resorted to the tactic of leaving extra fish and items on the ground where I could safely pick them up at a later time. I'm sure the villagers won't judge the newcomer leaving piles of fish, cookies, and other items littered on the ground, right? Anyway, that night I was rewarded with level 5 fishing. Day 5 started off with a new kitty! Thankfully, one that doesn't take up inventory space or require crafting. I welcomed in Ranger the cat and hoped Marnie wasn't paying attention to the fish intermittently cohabitating with my parsnips. With the pet adoption done, I popped some fish in the shipping bin to clear my inventory, then harvested my parsnips, unlocking level 1 farming and finishing the Getting Started quest. I had time before Willie opened, so I popped over to the traveling cart who had a large milk for sale, which I happily picked up for 570 gold. I thought I was heading back to Willie's to sell my fish, but apparently that wasn't the case because I emptied out most of my inventory at the farm and then went to town to trigger the CC cutscene. Willie's after that? Nope, over to the mines. Even though I can't smelt ores right now, I still need to make progress in the mines for CC purposes. I want the mine carts done as soon as possible, which means reaching the gold floors to get the fire quartz, unless I get lucky with a fishing chest or garbage find. I made it to level 20, happily swapping out my rusty sword for the steel broadsword before heading home, hitting level 1 in farming, mining, and in combat. To start off day 6, I headed to the wizard so I can start donating things to the CC. I wouldn't be able to make too much progress at this point, but the consistent issue of inventory management would benefit from any dent I can make in clearing things out. With that in mind, I swung by the CC and completed the spring foraging bundle, which unlocked the pantry and fish tank. Then it was back to the mines. Getting further down would be helpful, but I actually had a secondary goal, monster slaying. Now, normally for a community center only challenge, slaying goals don't really matter. However, I would get a really nice advantage by completing a certain goal. Can you guess which one? Well, you'll find out soon enough. Back at my farm, I sold off some extra items and hit level 2 in mining and combat. The 7th was a Sunday, which meant traveling cart. Before that, however, I happily accepted the 500 gold handout from my dad. Thanks, Pops! I took care of watering all 6 of my crops, then headed south. And would you believe it, this cart had a CC item too. And not just any item, a rabbit's foot. You bet I picked that up. Then I finally went to Willie to buy the fiberglass rod and 50 bait. Normally I just turn bug meat to bait, but unfortunately not an option in this challenge. In the spirit of spending money, I went to Pierre's and bought 25 parsnips. I also dropped off some items to the CC like a few fish and a potato. Next was to the museum to donate a few items and pick up the first reward of cauliflower seeds, which I went to the farm to plant. More cauliflower would help with money, and Jody also asks for one as a quest, which means more money. The parsnips were to hopefully get the 5 gold ones needed for the community center, which is a lot harder to do without being able to craft quality fertilizer. And if you're thinking you can get fertilizer without crafting it, you are 100% correct. Did past me know this at the time? Nope. With more time in the day, I went to the mines and got some good successes. I finished a Slayer goal and got an Ancient Seed. I quickly went to the Adventurers Guild to pick up my reward, the Insect Head, which is a huge jump from level 1 to level 6. This is usually a reward that I ignore, but I have watched a Salmence video where he mentioned how good it was and it does not disappoint. It's really nice to have early on in the mines if you're unable to fish up the Neptune's Glaive or better weapons. I only had a few people left to meet for the quest, so I popped to the saloon to greet Elliot and then gave him my precious piece of wood. He didn't seem to appreciate it. Oh well, free gold for me. That night I hit level 2 foraging and made over 2,600 gold. Day 8 was a rainy day, which is always welcome when you don't have sprinklers. I donated my ancient seed to the museum and accepted the free seed as a reward. It's really nice that you get your first one without having to craft it. I then stopped by Clint's to open up geodes, which then gave me a few more items to donate. I did this multiple times until all my geodes were gone. I then dropped off some items for the construction bundle and then went back to my farm. I was planning to plant the ancient seed, but without a scarecrow, I was worried it would get eaten by a crow. Not that it's needed for the community center, but it's still nice to have for early money. Instead, I went back to town, again, to do some more fishing. Could I have caught the same fish from my farm? Yes. Did it make sense for me to waste the time to come back down here to do it? No. It really didn't matter though, because I ended up at the beach anyway, trying to catch an eel. Once the eel was caught, I fished up a bream and then headed back over to the CC to donate them both. Man, what a day of back and forth. Honestly, I feel like this is typically how I play Stardew though. Start here, plan to go here, do a grand loop around town and the woods because of distractions. I kept up my theme of world traveling by picking up the items I left by the mountain and bringing them back to the farm. I then waited by my trusty smoker, trading out fish to sell once they were all done. No level ups that night, but I like to imagine I got at least 20,000 steps in. It was another sunny day for the 9th. I sold some excess fish to Willie and bought some more bait. Can you guess what I had planned for the day? If you said, finally sell the diamond you've held on to for 3 days, you're right! If you said fishing, that was a close second. Yep, I was back at the mountain lake. I had multiple bubble spots, which are always appreciated, and I was also back to placing the fish on the ground because I can't properly manage my inventory. Sebastian didn't seem to mind though. Hey, you think him standing there counts as me smoking fish? Yeah, that was a dumb one. I came back home around 11 and sold off some of the cheaper fish, as always saving the pricier ones to smoke. I hit level 6 fishing that night and made almost 4,000. I woke up on day 10 with the satisfying 10k gold. It wouldn't be there long though, because I had plans. Plans that would be pricey, but worth it. In addition to the money though, I would need lumber. You might see where I'm going with this. I spent the morning chopping some wood and then opened some geodes at Clint, which gave me some more items to donate. I still needed some more wood, so I went back to the forest. I got lucky with some spring onions, which I was able to eat to give me some more energy. With my reserves fueled up, I was able to do some more chopping and getting up to 450 lumber. That night, those same spring onions helped me reach level 3 foraging. Day 11 brought in the frustration of a crow snacking on my crop, but that was instantly forgiven by the $500 gold my dad gave me. I think that's good therapy. Thankfully, the crow didn't take anything vital, but when I harvested my crops, I only got 1 gold parsnip. I think we know what the next purchase will be. I finally planted my ancient seed down, and then it was to go into town to do my garbage run and buy more parsnips from Pierre. Next, I headed to Robin's to request the house upgrade. I'd need the upgrade for the kitchen since I couldn't craft a cookout kit, but it would provide me even more value. More on that later though. I chopped some trees on my way back to farm where I planted and watered the parsnips. Nothing too exciting after that, just went and did some more chopping of wood. I wouldn't need any more house upgrades, but I would need some wood for the barn and coops and their upgrades. I sold a few items that night and hit level 2 farming. Robin was hard at work on day 12, but I wasn't about to take it easy either. I had the normal watering chore, which is way harder than building a home extension. Not that it's a competition or anything. The traveling cart was in town, and man, was she really coming in clutch these early times. She had a gold bar for 1,000 gold, which I would need for the minecarts bundle. There are other ways to get the gold bar, but this is an early win. I used 300 wood to repair the bridge and picked up some of the foraging there. Usually this is crucial for getting the resources for the bait maker, but it's just another perk I can't take advantage of without crafting. Then it was time to the mine to make some more progress, showing off the powers of the insect head. I made it to level 35 and then reset the lower levels looking for an earth crystal for the CC and gems for the museum. Funny enough, I got another ancient seed, but this one is useless since I can't craft it into a plantable seed. Demetrius was at my door early the next day, asking the important question. I chose bats as I always do because the fruit just seems more valuable for completing the CC. The egg festival started at 9, so I bought a few strawberry seeds and then greeted a couple NPCs that could potentially send me helpful CC items once we had a high enough friendship. Then it was time to lock in and find some eggs. I went home with the straw hat, not because I won the competition, but because I'm gonna be king of the pirates. Anyway, I planted the strawberry seeds and then headed to bed. On day 14, I woke up to my newly expanded house. Now it was time to check out the best feature, the fridge. Not only can I unload some of my items from my backpack, it can even hold my tools. This was a much needed improvement and absolutely worth the 10k and 450 wood to declutter my inventory and farm. Next, it was on to the traveling cart to see if she could keep her record going. Unfortunately, she didn't have anything worth buying, but that's okay, can't hit it every time. I finished the spring crops bundle with the green bean and cauliflower, unlocking the boiler room. Then I went to the mines where I was able to get deep enough to hit the iron levels. I spent my time collecting iron ore and farming dust sprites for coal, which would help keep my fish smoking empire going. Unfortunately, I ran out of food at level 44 and had to leave, but I did hit level 4 foraging. The rain was back on the 15th, and thankfully I got another gold parsnip. Only 2 more left. Not worried or anything. Thankfully, I remembered to use my farm this time to fish for catfish, so I spent some time there smoking any that I caught. I took a break to go to Pierre's and buy some more parsnip seeds. I hated to have more to water, but I wanted to guarantee that I got 2 more gold ones. I also swung by Willie's to buy some more bait. I checked the specialty bait just in case, but unfortunately no catfish. I did some river fishing and got a chest with a trident and strange doll in it. I'll take those, thank you. I fished there until the catfish stopped appearing and headed home, where I hit level 7 fishing. The next day was a good luck day, which meant it was time for the mines. I killed a boss slime for our forest sword, but unfortunately it wasn't any better than the insect head. On level 59, I ventured to the middle area in hopes of some hardwood in the barrels, but it was mostly junk. I made it down to level 60 and then headed home, that night hitting level 3 combat. I started the 17th by trying to water my crops without my watering can. It's good to stay consistent with mistakes. In between watering, I kept adding catfish to the smoker. I then loaded up my backpack to swing by the community center. I completed the adventures bundle for a magnet ring, which unlocked the bulletin board. I couldn't finish any other bundles there, but I did drop off a few more items. I also realized I could almost complete the geologist bundle, just needed a fire quartz. Instead of working on that, however, I decided to run around the woods gathering salmon berries and any other forageables I could. I spent the rest of the evening chopping lumber and then making wasteful trips back and forth to the community center. Day 18 was Pam's birthday, but there wasn't any benefit to celebrating that, so I just completely ignored it. I did my normal watering and then gathered my wood and stone. In town, Clint was requesting some coal in exchange for a prize ticket, which was an easy decision. I swung by Robin's to buy a mini fridge for more storage and build a coop. Then it was back to the mines to try to get to the lava levels. Oh, and I did stop and do Clint's thing, but only because of the money and prize ticket reward, not to help him out or anything. I made it to level 70 and swung by the Adventurers Guild to sum some of the extra items. With a little bit of time left, I dropped by the saloon to talk to Clint, getting the prize ticket and the 350 gold. That night, I hit level 3 mining. A crow greeted me on the 19th. Thanks, bud. I harvested my crops, but still no more golden parsnip. Sheesh. I still have more planted, but I was starting to get close and nervous. To cope, I swung by the cart who had a copper bar for sale. I'll take that, thank you. Then it was over to the mayor's house to redeem my ticket for 12 carrot seeds. Oh boy. I still needed some more things for the crab pot bundle, but the beach just had disappointment. Willie, however, was selling catfish bait, so I think it was worth the visit. I also went ahead and bought 2 crab pots to help speed up the process. Back in town, I purchased more parsnips and finally realized I could buy basic fertilizer from Pierre. As you can guess, it was immediately back to my farm to plant them down. With so much to do, I decided my time was well spent dropping off the copper bar to the community center, which was not all pointless since I couldn't complete any bundles. After that disappointment, I headed back to the mines, but unfortunately on level 77, I finally ended up swapping out my insect head for the bone sword, but man did it carry me far. To make things better, I made it to the lava levels. No fire quartz, but it's a great start. That night, I hit level 3 farming and level 4 mining. The 20th brought me a shrimp and a crab pot. Great start! I took some geodes I'd gotten in the mines and had Clint open them, donating anything I could to Gunther. I'm still working on trying to get that rare crow reward. Then, I answered the call of the mines. With the rabbit's foot luck from the cart, I hopefully wouldn't have to focus on reaching level 120, since I wouldn't need to go to the Skull Caverns really for anything other than the red cabbage seed. I did check the box for year 1 CC completion, so most likely the merchant will have it available soon. On level 90, I picked up the obsidian edge and then kept resetting the floors. The void enemies have a pretty good chance of dropping bars. Like gold and copper, not musical bars. Although who knows, maybe they're good at that too. I almost left a fire quartz behind on one of my resets, which would have just been sad. Thankfully, I scooped it up and ran for my life from the bat hunting me down. With that success, I immediately dipped out and headed to the CC to complete the bundle. It was a lame reward of Omni Geodes, but I did unlock the Vault bundle. On day 21, I was rewarded with some money for building a coop. My first harvest of strawberries were also ready. Hooray! And my regular quality parsnip. Boo. However, it was a Sunday, so it was back to the merchant to see if she could bring any good news. She had the fez for 8,000 gold that wasn't for the CC, but you know, I was pretty tempted to spend all my money on it. I held off though. After a lot of deliberation, I did buy the poppy. I could have just waited and grown it myself later, but it's fine. The beach crab pots were trash, literally. But I was really here to fish up a sardine for Gus's quest. I ended up fishing for a bit from a bubble spot that appeared. Then, for whatever reason, with an almost completely full backpack, I decided to go to Clint's to have him open geodes. I did get a couple new items to donate to the museum, but it was a tedious cycle to sell things to him, to then have him open up more geodes, and then go to the museum. Apparently, I was still very worried about those parsnips because I bought more along with more fertilizer. After that shopping trip, I gave Gus his requested item, then sold off some boots to Marlin. The rest of the evening was spent fighting the void enemies in hopes of an iron bar, which I got on the first floor I visited. 3 guesses where my next stop was? Yep, over to the CC to finish the minecarts bundle. The reward for completing the bundle was a furnace, which is really nice since I have no other way of smelting bars, and I need several to upgrade my axe to iron. That night, I dreamt of minecarts to speed me around town. Day 22 yielded another gold parsnip. Now, only 1 left. I took my newly unlocked minecarts and furnace and headed to the mines. Now that I could smelt ore, it was worth stocking up on bars. So that's what I did for the morning, resetting the copper and iron floors to make sure I had enough ore for 5 bars each. After the ore was secured, I headed to Clint to upgrade my axe to copper. I also managed to find an oyster to complete the crab pot bundle and got crab pots as a reward. Not as useful as a furnace, just saying. I was determined to get a silo, but as usual was short a few clay. The only option, therefore, is to vigorously dig up Robin's front yard with her and Demetrius lurking close by. I left 3 clay short of the 10 I needed. I made up for it the next day, finally getting the last gold parsnip. I donated a peach from my bat cave and the 5 parsnips to the community center. At this point, I'm not sure why I was so focused on the parsnips since I could have done melons, corn, or pumpkins to supplement the quality crop, but that's my brain for you. With the time left in the day, I took my furnace to the mountain lake, smelting iron while I fished. I fished up a Neptune's glaive, which is a really good weapon to have early on, but at this point, it can't compete with the obsidian edge. I fished until the largemouth bass stopped spawning, then I ended up back at the farm, slowly smoking 1 at a time until bed. I hit level 4 farming and level 8 fishing that night. Day 24 was the flower festival, but I had very important tasks like playing in the mines. I wasn't avoiding the festival because no one liked me enough to ask or anything. I'm just a very, very busy person. I quickly ended up changing my mind about the flower dance when I realized I could purchase a rare crow and that would make things much easier for planting crops. I still had to awkwardly lurk as the rest of the town had fun, but at least I had an inanimate object to comfort me. After the dance, I recommitted to clay farming and finally got the 10 total I needed to ask for a silo. As usual, I spent the rest of the night smoking the available fish I had left. My axe was ready on the 25th. I placed down my newly acquired bestie and then got to work. On my way to Clint's, I dug through the trash can and also picked up a help wanted quest for seaweed. I then picked up my axe and turned it right back for a steel upgrade. Willie had some catfish bait, so I bought some off of him and then gave him the requested seaweed, which got me another prize ticket. Which then got me a peach sapling. With more money left over, I went to Marnie's to buy a white and brown chicken, then to Robin's to purchase a silo. With more time left in the day, I committed once again to more mountain fishing. The hope was to hit level 10 fishing and gain a rainy day to catch the legend by the end of the season. Unfortunately, I was running out of days, and I had already looked to see that the next day was sunny. It's not a deal breaker to not get the legend, but it certainly helps money-wise. What really helped was I had Sebastian help recreate the scene from Ghost. Anyone have that on their bingo card? I fished until I ran out of energy, running home to sell off a few excess fish and items I'd gotten in chests. No fishing level ups, but I did unlock mystery boxes. I also thought it was funny that the game kept giving me the option to eat a fish during the cutscene. Day 26, as expected, was a sunny day. I harvested my ready crops while Robin worked on the silo. It was a Friday, so I swung by the cart and picked up a duck feather. She must have been a fan of the ghost reenactment Sebastian I did because she has been phenomenal. There was more work to be done, however, so I went to Willie to buy more bait since I was getting low and obviously can't craft any. With more bait, it was back up to the mountain lake, this time with my smoker. I fished until 11 p.m. I sold most of my smoked fish and then went to bed, finally hitting level 9 fishing. The 27th was a sunny day. Yay, just what I wanted. I told myself I wasn't going to check the weather for tomorrow because I couldn't do anything to change it now. Instead, I left the house and got to work. My axe was done, so I grabbed that from Clint and had him open a few geodes. Of course, anything new was given to Gunther. Honestly, at this point, I probably should have just sold them instead of donating them, but I did get free melon and pumpkin seeds because of it. With my steel axe, it was time to head to the secret woods. I gathered some hardwood and then fished up the wood skip. I then focused on cutting down trees in the forest. I needed a lot more wood for the barn and coop upgrades for the CC. I reached level 5 forging that night and chose Forester without any hesitation. The last day of the month brought wonderful news. Rain! This was it. This is what I had trained for. But first, a trip to the merchant who, once again, had something useful. I bought maple syrup and then headed east to Willie's. I bought trout soup, the iridium rod, and a few trap bobbers and some deluxe bait. For whatever reason, I only bought 4. Sure, that'll last long. And then, it was up to the mountain. I got rewarded early with bubbles, but no legend. I wasn't deterred though. As long as it's raining and you're level 10, he can spawn at any time. Except, I wasn't hooking him. So I moved to my normal fishing spot. Except I still wasn't hooking him. So I moved again. And I still wasn't hooking him. Finally, at 4 p.m., I hooked him. And he was an absolute jerk. I hooked him again shortly after, and he got away. I did not hook that stupid fish again the rest of the day. What I did hook, however, was a time loop. All of a sudden, it was like that day had never happened, and I had a fresh start again. Almost like someone reset the day. Yeah, I couldn't let it end like that. So, fast forward back to the mountain lake. This time, I caught him at 11 a.m. Was I breathing the whole time? Absolutely not. Was it worth the reset? Absolutely. Just like that, the season could unequivocally end on a high note. I pretty much spent the rest of the day fishing for catfish, so let's do what I did last challenge and do a season recap. The first big milestone was upgrading the house to increase storage capacity. The next one would be all the traveling cart luck. I absolutely could have gotten those items without crafting, but these were nice wins to speed up the challenge. Lastly, catching the legend on the last day of the season, with a reset of course, was a huge win. That's going to complete the first season. Thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode. Be on the lookout for summer. And if I didn't mention it before, this challenge has been done by TheHaboo, who's an amazing Stardew Valley speedrunner. He plays other games, but Stardew Valley is definitely his niche. So I want to make sure to shout out him because I would not have done this idea without his video as a reference. So definitely check that out and give it some love. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you when the next video comes out for summer.